There's a quote I want to share. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. This quote was by Confucius. Folks, have you felt imbalanced lately? Do you feel you're in full alignment in life? Or does something feel slightly off in your life? As we're about to enter 2025, I want to share a story that shifted my perspective on alignment. Tune in to find out. Let's cue the intro. Welcome to the Boom Vision Podcast, the show that empowers you to live an enriching life physically, mentally, and spiritually. I am your host, Benjamin Ye, and I created this podcast to give you perspectives on how to strengthen your mindset so that you can build optimal health, create aligned wealth, and connect with your higher self. It's all interconnected. Let's get to work. Hi folks, welcome to episode 91 of the Boom Vision Podcast. First of all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everyone. I appreciate your patience in today's episode as I just got back from a family vacation. For today's episode, I wanted to share a story that I experienced last week that had a pretty profound impact in my life. This story is called 2 millimeters. So how this story starts is that in this entire month of December, I've just been in this phase of decluttering. I've been decluttering my garage, I've been decluttering my office, and this particular morning last week, I wanted to declutter a specific shoebox. There's a small shoebox that I place on one of the top shelves in our kitchen. It's kind of a weird place to put it, but this happens to be the shoebox where I store all of the single-use batteries that's fully used up. And it was accumulating over this entire year. And I was like, you know what? Let me just find a place that actually receives single-use batteries so I can dispose of it in a proper way. And so as I went up, I was like, oh my gosh, it was pretty heavy. So I went to get like a stepping stool to make sure I don't hurt myself. Got up, took the shoebox down. But as I was up there, it's like, oh my God, there's all these like pieces of rags and things that are just cluttering. Let me just take all that out. And because I took all of that section of the shelf out, I noticed it was missing a support pin. There's these 4 shelf support pins that prop up this small section of the shelf on the cabinet. But there's only 3 pins that were plugged in. For whatever reason, the 4th pin on the back right was missing. I was like, wow, if I hadn't taken this out, I wouldn't have noticed that this support pin was missing. And if I put even additional weight on it, that could be a disaster. So, okay, where am I going to find this additional shelf support pin? So I'm thinking in my mind, okay, I might have to go to a local hardware store and pick some up. But it made me wonder, what's going on in the left side of the cabinets? So I opened up the left cabinet and oh my gosh, this is where my wife stores all of her cooking books. And there was a lot. And one of the things I noticed though is that the way she lays the books in the shelf, there's an extra section of where a shelf needs to be at. She removed that in order for her books to be able to fit. And so on the sides, it happened to be 4 extra pins that weren't being used. I was like, perfect. All right. So I just take one of those, put it in the shelf that I originally put the shoebox in for the batteries I want to dispose of. Okay. Now I got 4 pins in there. It's fully balanced. Let me put the shoebox in. Okay. And then we're done. Funny how these things work because once you start unraveling something, usually another thing pops up, right? And sure enough, as I'm now loading up the clean plates onto the shelf, there's this irregular plate that we use, and usually those are stored on the bottom where we stack all the plates on top because we don't use it that often. And because I'm going to have to lift all of these plates in order to put this irregular plate on the bottom, I took the stepping stool again, got up, unloaded the plates that are currently on the shelf, and realized that, wow, this is actually pretty heavy. What in the world? And before I put the irregular plate at the bottom of that shelf, I noticed that, the old rubber mat that we lay down. And we lay that down so that it becomes non-slip, right? It actually keeps all the bowls and plates in place. It was very worn down. I mean, the last time I was probably up there was 5+ years ago. And I was like, all right, because this thing was so worn out, it was almost like it was disintegrating. I was like, okay, I need to replace this mat. I need to clean it, throw it away, and place a new one. So what did I do? I unloaded all of the plates on that middle shelf, took out the shelf to peel the deteriorating rubber mat. Then I went to clean it up, got a new little non-slip mat, put it on there, and I was going to put the shelf back onto that middle section of the cabinet. And as I was doing that, I noticed, wait a minute, one of the L-shaped shelf support pins on the front right, it was bent. Usually these things are L-shaped, so they're 90 degrees. This is bent like almost 130 degrees. It was very, very noticeably bent. And I would not have seen that had I not went down this rabbit hole of cleaning and decluttering the shelf in the cabinet. I was like, oh my God, the weight of all these plates, it makes a lot of sense. It got to this point where one of these pins was bent so much that it was almost 130 degrees. So I took that out and I remembered, oh, this other section where my wife keeps all her books, I have 3 pins that aren't being used. Why don't I just use that right now before I go to the hardware store? So I grabbed one of those, put it back in, and then put the shelf back on to this metal section. But as I was doing that, why is it a little bit wobbly? Why is it not flush? Oh, okay. The heaviness of the plates in this middle section of the cabinet, because the shelf itself was not in balance, it was a little bit wobbly. Even with the 4 pins in, it was a little bit wobbly. The more weight I put on, that's what caused this L-shaped shelf pin to be bent so much. If I didn't notice this really bent support pin, it was just a matter of time, given the weight of all these plates in this middle section of the cabinet. It was a matter of time that this would just be crashing down. Because once I noticed it, I can't unsee it. It was very much warped and it needed to be replaced. Okay, so what was the solution that I came up with? All right, I went to my drawer. I clipped all the miscellaneous like tools and scissors and whatnot. I found this construction paper. So I cut like this 1" by 1" construction paper, small piece of paper. And then I folded it twice. The thickness was probably no more than 2 millimeters. I put it on the L-shaped support pin and then put the shelf on top, and everything was flush. There was no more wobbliness. It was like a perfect fit. All it took was this 2 millimeter thick construction paper to be able to put it next to the support pin to keep things in balance. And I made sure that the shelf was not wobbling. Then I loaded back all the plates back on top. And it felt like a perfect fit. It felt like it was in alignment. And so the takeaway I want to share in sharing this story of this 2 millimeters of a difference is I just want you to think and reflect in your life. Metaphorically speaking, what are the different support pins to keep your life in balance? If you use these 4 support pins as an example, if you use the physical, your mental, your financial, and your spiritual support pins that prop up your own balance in life, right? These 4 corners. Do these 4 pillars feel in balance if you had no weight on them? Is there any slight adjustments you need to make for them to feel in balance? Before you put on more weight in your life, is there a small act of adjustment, a 2 millimeter adjustment that can be made to make your life feel in balance? 2 millimeters is such a small length, but it can have such a profound impact in the adjustment of your daily life. Replace millimeter with 2 steps. It could be 2 steps in the right direction. It could be 2 push-ups to build your muscle, your physical body. It could be 2 jumping jacks to get your blood flowing through your body every day. It could be reading 2 pages of a book to nourish your mind. It could just be 2 minutes of breath work, breathing in and breathing out to calm your parasympathetic nervous system. 2 minutes is half of a song. What are just 2 small steps you can take in life to help you adjust either your physical body, your mental body, your financial body, or your spiritual body to help your life feel in balance? So with that said, what are this week's action steps? We're going to use the CAL method, the CAL method. C is calm yourself. Calm yourself in any way that works for you. Something that's simple. Is it just a breath work? Is it meditation? Is it yoga? Something to just be able to calm your mind and quiet your wind tunnel. And once you calm yourself, A stands for awareness. Bring awareness to your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual state as you take a deep breath. Do you feel more calm and peace? Bring awareness to your state of mind. Does your life feel in balance? Or do you feel imbalance? Does your life feel like it's in harmony, or is it misaligned? And if you feel misaligned, what areas of your life do you feel can use a little boost? And as you reflect on that question, L stands for language. I want you to ask yourself this one question. What is a 2 millimeter action that I can take for myself to feel better supported and balanced in my life? What are the 2 millimeter steps? Is it physical steps? Is it directional? Is it self-care? Is it 2 little things I can do to show myself more self-love? Or is it just 2 minutes of breath work, of just breathing in and out to calm my mind so I could bring a little bit more peace and calmness in my life? Whatever it is for you to feel more at balance and peace. What is 2 small steps, something so easily tangible that you can do on a daily basis? The challenge I want to invite you to take is that once you identify those 2 millimeter steps, the 2 steps that you will commit to do daily, can you do it for 1 whole week? Just 7 days. It's the small incremental steps that can lead to profound impact, but you need to start taking them today. And I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to overcommit to doing it for a whole month or a whole quarter. I just want you to start getting a little bit of a momentum for yourself. So my ask to you is to identify 2 small steps you can take for 7 days straight. So final thoughts for today's episode. There's another quote I want to share. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. This quote was by Bruce Lee. As we're about to ring into the new year, I hope today's story gives you a moment of pause and self-reflection on what adjustments you can make, if any, that will make a profound impact of balance and harmony in your life. I just want you to give yourself that moment of pause to reflect, to bring awareness, and to see if there's any agents of change, 2 small steps you can take in your life that can lead to profound positive impact. I want to take a moment and thank this Boom Vision community. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you as we grow mentally, physically, and spiritually every 2 weeks in 2024. I am humbled and I'm grateful that we're in this together. And so I want to acknowledge you for taking steps each time you listen to a Boom Vision podcast episode. Until next time, folks, be kind to yourself. Be in delight. Be you. See you in the new year. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Boom Vision podcast. If you'd like to find out more about me and this podcast, head over to benjaminye.com. That's spelled BenjaminYe.com. If you haven't already, click subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.